The National Labor Relations Board provided a big win for workers. Companies can no longer silence employees in exchange for their severance pay. The board ruled two types of clauses often included in severance agreements violate employees' rights. One is prohibiting employees from sharing the terms of the severance package. The other is a clause restricting employees from making public comments disparaging their former employer. So to provide more insight on this ruling, what it means as we go forward, Angela Reddock-Wright joining us right now, an employment attorney and mediator. Angela, thanks so much for taking the time to be with us this morning.
Of course, it's my pleasure.
So what does this decision mean when you think of newly laid off workers? How does it change the dynamic between employers and employees?
Well, it's quite significant because, as you indicated, it's shifting the dynamics. Whereas when it came to severance agreements or settlement agreements, in some instances, the balance was in favor of the employer because they were able to write the agreement in a way that says, in exchange for X amount of dollars for your layoff or for your severance or for your separation from the company or organization, we're requiring that you commit to clauses where you say you're not going to disparage the employer in any way and that you're not going to disclose the terms of the settlement agreement. So now the balance of power has been shifted in favor of the employee, where they can still participate and have these severance agreements, but they're not silenced anymore, as you indicated in the opening.
Yeah, and recently we've seen so many layoffs, especially in the tech sector, and these companies are saying to their employees, we don't want you anymore. But why do these companies still put in these types of conditions in these severance packages?
Well, it's been traditionally used as a risk management tool, one where employers can lay off or separate employees, but in exchange for that, they can require, in exchange for receiving money as a part of that, usually in the form of 1 month or 3 months or 6 months, maybe even a year of severance, in exchange for receiving that money, that the employee would commit to not saying anything that would damage the reputation of the employer. So it was a way that we call it buy silence or buy peace, where an employer can separate employees, but also ensure that employees cannot go forward and sue them, things about them.
And what kind of effect do you think this ruling is going to have on the size of the severance packages that these companies are handing out?
Well, it remains to be seen, but I definitely think employers are going to be meeting with their employment law attorneys and determining the value of entering severance agreements with their employees anymore. It seems that the only thing remaining is that a severance agreement might buy the employer peace, meaning that the employee may not sue the employer going forward, but it won't buy peace in the sense that the employer can limit that employee from saying negative things or disclosing the terms of the agreement. So I think that will definitely, cause employers to pull back on severance agreements and certainly maybe not offer them for as much money as they have in the past.
What advice would you give to employees who are being laid off when it comes to these severance packages? What should they be looking for to make sure they're protected?
Well, certainly they want to consult with a trained employment attorney that can walk them through the agreement because it has a lot of legalese in it normally. But based on this National Labor Relations Board ruling, they want to ensure that the agreement does not include a non-disparagement clause and that it does not include a confidentiality clause that limits the employee from being able to talk about the employer in a way that they see fit, and that limits the employee from being able to disclose the terms of the agreement to other coworkers or to others that may have an interest in that severance agreement or settlement agreement.
Yeah, this is definitely a decision that is having a real-world impact right now. Employment attorney and mediator Angela Reddock-Wright, thanks so much for taking the time to join us this morning.
Thank you so much.